Reports are really starting to heat up and escalate surrounding the Lakers' next move. And some new reports have dropped, revealing some very interesting information surrounding a 7'3" EuroLeague center. We're going to break down who this is and discuss what it means going forward, as this could change everything for the Lakers. So stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. But before we get into it, if you're part of the 86% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers content. We are approaching very fast 13,000 subscribers. If you want to help us towards that goal, make sure to hit the subscribe button. This is the place to be for daily Lakers content. And ladies and gentlemen, we've been covering a lot of different centers on this channel, and this one guy is extremely interesting for a ton of different reasons. And he is a 7'3" EuroLeague defensive player of the year, all these different things. And there is some links to the Lakers. There's some very interesting rumors going down, and let's break it all down here. So there's a bunch of different things here, and I want to start with this. Now, this is from February 5th. This is from the before the trade deadline. Bear with me. There's a bunch of different things here. You can see here from Hoop Herald, breaking. The Lakers are actively attacking the trade market for a center and could end up signing one that's not currently in the NBA. Developing story. The quote tweet. There's another report that said the type of center the Lakers are looking for is a lob threat, and they're obviously in win now mode. Edy Tavares. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Edy Tavares, there's a few different things to go over here. And then you're seeing some more, rumors start to pick up here from utility. We'll break that down in a minute. But this was a Reddit post, and it's extremely interesting. Edy Tavares, 7'3" from Real Madrid, won EuroLeague's Best Defender Awards, highest number of blocks, makes $4 million. And Edy Tavares is the guy we're going to be speaking about today for a few different reasons. Now, this is an extremely interesting player. And if you're unfamiliar, I'll break them all down for you. So he's a huge center, not super athletic, but he was Luka's teammate in Real Madrid when they won the EuroLeague. So you are now at a point where not only are you're able to get a huge center, but he played with Luka Doncic in the EuroLeague. And now let's look at his NBA stats from years and years ago. He had a brief stint where he played one game in 2016 with the Cavs, but it was 6 points and 10 just to keep 10 rebounds and 6 blocks in one game, and then he never played the NBA since. He comes in, he scores 6, 6, and 10, and then just decides to head to the EuroLeague, which is hilarious. But let's dive into his EuroLeague stats a little bit, because this guy is extremely interesting when you're talking about a lot of the other targets that the Lakers could be pursuing, whether that be JaVale McGee, whether that be Daniel Tice, any of these guys. He is an extremely interesting guy. So he's currently playing with Real Madrid, and he's playing this season, and he's averaging 7 points a game, 6 rebounds, 1.4 blocks. Now, you can see over the past handful of seasons, whether it be in FIBA, whether it be in Real Madrid, and it's EuroLeague, it depends, no matter where it is, he's always put up respectable numbers. Now, the thing is with him, he is not going to be a guy who shoots the ball. I don't think he's taken like 2 threes in his entire career overseas. However, he's a guy that is not only really big, right? He's 7'3", very solid defensively when it comes to paint and defense. This is extremely interesting. And now when you talk about the transition between, let's just say, FIBA compared to the NBA, overseas compared to the NBA, the physicality is the biggest difference. You talk to, when people talk to all the NBA players who have shifted from overseas to the NBA, the biggest thing is the speed of the game and the physicality. Now, obviously, as you start to think about how Edy Tavares would fit in the Lakers, fit in the NBA in general, that would be the biggest question mark. But you have guys like Yabusele, who we saw in FIBA play really good. Yabusele played insane. And then he comes and he's having an unbelievable season this year for the Sixers. So it's like there's a lot of different players who can play well. And again, he played one NBA game, albeit many, many years ago. And I also believe he was teammates with LeBron James during the 2016-17 season. You saw the stats with the Cavs. He's teammates with both of these guys, so I'm sure they're doing their due diligence here, but no one's talking about it. And he's a very good defensive player. Now, he is very slow, and I watched some film on Edy Tavares, and there is some concerns, right? There's definitely some concerns here. It's not going to be all, glitter and glamour. He is not very fast at all. He's not mobile, and I think in the NBA, if they were to get him, albeit I think it would be a very good fit, especially alongside a guy like Jackson Hayes, who's fairly mobile, a bit more athletic. Like off the bench, you could really fit in a role here for Edy Tavares. And you see this here, 2 potential Lakers options at center are currently out of the league. Montrezl Harrell, Edy Tavares. Important to note here as well, the Lakers are an apron team, so they can't sign any buyout players making more than the MLE. So it's interesting. Now let's look back to 2020 when he said, "I'm very proud of Luka Doncic. There's no longer LeBron. Now there's only Luka," of course, coming off of the EuroLeague win with him. There's so many different pieces here that are connecting. However, now when you watch him play, and I recommend you guys to watch some of his gameplay footage. He's not very, agile at all, a very bad free throw shooter, and he's not really a big lob threat. Because he's so big, he's obviously a bad perimeter defender. He's not great defending in space. However, he's a big body that can finish around the rim. His screens are okay. They're not great. Now, it's going to be very interesting. And in Europe, he's been playing fairly well. However, he hasn't been great. If you talk to some people who watch, Madrid often, they're saying he hasn't been having a great season. And again, he would be a guy off the bench that you give a shot to because of his size. And most 7-3 players in the league, aside from a few, don't have great intangibles, right? And don't really have tangibles either, whether it be agility, whether it be great hands. This guy will not fly in that regard. He's going to be a very niche center if he gets signed to an NBA team. NBA teams will probably attack him in the pick and roll consistently because the pick and roll defense, he's not agile enough to guard it. However, if you want a big body to throw out against the opposing team's big centers, whether that be Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, whoever it is, I'm not saying Edy Tavares is going to be the magic answer to guard Joel Embiid. However, he's big, he is strong, and he blocks shots. And that is what this team is really missing. You have Jackson Hayes, who hopefully can develop into a very solid, like 20, 25 minutes a game under Luka Doncic for the season, and really, flourish and thrive under Luka. But if you're looking for a guy who can just play big against teams that are big, like, you're not going to be running Edy Tavares against small ball lineups. Even running him against a guy like Brook Lopez, I think he can hold his ground. Yes, he's going to be slower than a lot of them. And as you look at the depth chart here, they just need a big center as their backup. And again, I think he'd be a solid 10 to 15 minute per game player. He's not going to be much more. However, talking to some Real Madrid fans, like, he is the star, quote unquote, of this Real Madrid team. And he only makes, I believe, $4 million a year. So, like, he's big. He'd be able to, fit alongside Luka. Well, they played, I believe, 1 year together when they won the EuroLeague. Like, there is some connection there. Of course, played with LeBron back in 2016. And when you're comparing him to guys like McGee, Tice, Dwight Howard, Mo Bamba, yes, skill-wise, these players would be better. They'll provide you a higher floor. However, when you're looking at a guy like Edy Tavares, it might be worth taking a chance, seeing how many, how he can match up against, because the Lakers don't have a big center right now. You have Trey Jemison, you have Jackson Hayes. If you want a guy who can go out and you put him in the paint, you have him guard the opposing team's big center, you only run him against the bigger lineups, and against the smaller lineups, you're going to get abused in the pick and roll. It would be very interesting. However, there's also, of course, some other overseas player, Willian Gomez, where you've seen him play overseas. You saw him play for Spain, I believe it was, in the FIBA. Hernan Gomez is very interesting. He's pretty immobile. I'm talking about, of course, I'm talking about this center here. He is, Edy Tavares is pretty immobile. However, he's not going to be mobile enough to play in small ball lineups. But if you bring him up against the bigger lineups in the NBA and see how he holds his ground, again, in one NBA game, put up 6 blocks. Like, that's not a fluke, albeit it was years and years and years ago. Now he's in his 30s. It'll be very interesting to see. But let me know down below what your thoughts are. Things are going to start picking up. They're going to start getting very interesting. And as the buyout market increases, the Lakers have a lot of decisions to make. Cheers.